Okay, this is take 5.
Street.
And take 17, maybe?
I don't have a memory.
When I think of Aunt Laurie, I think of a world traveler, someone who's gotten to go to all of these amazing, cool, interesting, exotic locations all across the globe.
What do I think of when I think of Aunt Laurie? Well, the easy one is perfection. Also, role model. I always am so flattered when my mom says I remind her of Aunt Laurie as an oldest sibling.
I see my godmother, and a fairy godmother at that, because growing up it was bippity boppity Broadway shows and ballets and always something fun and exciting with Aunt Laurie.
Aunt Laurie, I think of a great Thanksgiving meal, because a great Thanksgiving meal, especially at Aunt Laurie's, was always filled with a ton of generosity, a lot of fun, and a really great sour cream cake.
When you think of Aunt Laurie, what do you see? When I think of Aunt Laurie, I'm reminded of her incredible generosity.
When I think of Aunt Laurie, I think of someone kind and generous and so caring and full of wisdom.
So when I think of Aunt Laurie, I think of how lucky I am that whenever someone asks me what my middle name is, I get to say Loretta, and that it's after my amazing aunt and godmother, and how cool you are and how fun it is to see all the places you've lived and all the cool things that you continue to do. And I'm really jealous of.
You think of Aunt Laurie, what do you see? I see an incredible woman who has been such a wonderful role model my entire life. She's always so thoughtful and very generous and has the best travel recommendations, and also is pretty adamant about getting to a train station, I don't know, maybe more than 5 minutes before the train's supposed to leave.
Hey, Laurie. I don't have a memory.
I think of Aunt Laurie, I think of her kindness. And
The first thing that I think about has to be all the great Thanksgivings that we had at her place. From all the kids hanging out upstairs, to Tom and I running around in the yard, even us trying to help out in the kitchen, although always being asked to leave. That is the first thing I always think
Of
about.
Aunt Laurie, the first thing that comes to mind is my mom always saying her perfect older sister, Aunt Laurie. And that couldn't be more true. You really do it all, and you're one of the kindest people I know.
Aunt Laurie is super generous in so many ways, but we'll never forget how she tirelessly knitted us stockings, was very generous with her time so that we would have these Christmas stockings that we cherish and love today.
But I actually think of someone who's very worldly and who's had the chance to live in Manhattan and Australia and London and visit countless Central and South American countries that I can't even name.
Laurie. But also there's really the important stuff too, right? Like the Thanksgiving sleepovers and sour cream cake the next day, and you pretending to really like that jewelry box I made you, which had that terrible pattern on it, and you kept it on your dresser for longer than you should have.
I've always looked up to Aunt Laurie and truly think she is perfect in every way. Now what?
Hey, Laurie. I would have to say the first thing I think about when I think about you is how kind you are. I don't have a memory where you weren't smiling and just so kind and generous. And I would have to say my greatest memories about you would be Thanksgiving. Those were some of my best memories throughout my whole childhood.
This is a tough one because there's lots. But I would say our little knitting club. It was me convincing Aunt Laurie to teach me how to knit the stockings, the Christmas stockings for my little niece and nephew. And we would sit there and we would knit and we would gab and have wine and look at pictures from trips. And it was just such a great, fun time that I had with her.
Aunt Laurie is Thanksgiving up at the big house. I think back to how many times we went there and slept over and all the incredible food, and I think that still will always be one of my favorite memories and stories from growing up.
And my favorite memory with Aunt Laurie is hard to pick. There's just so many. There's dance recitals and theater and the trip to London. But I think I would have to go with the multiple times that she would let me come to her apartment after I worked late or if I had to work early the next morning. And she would make me dinner and let me stay over, and we would just sit and talk about our days. And she would make me breakfast in the morning and offer to pack me lunch. And I think that's just a small insight to her selflessness and how giving she is as a person.
One of my favorite memories is visiting London, and I had the chance to go see a English football game, and as was the status with the rest of the trip, we were forced to walk all the way to the stadium for what felt like an eternity. But I just have really fond memories of that trip.
Favorite memories for sure have to be Thanksgiving. Going up to Aunt Laurie's and Uncle Gary's house every Thanksgiving was one of my favorites, and still one of my favorite memories growing up as a kid. The house was always so fun, so full of people, and everybody was always laughing. Also, she would take us to Broadway shows and staying at her apartment. It was just, it's the best. Aunt Laurie's the best.
My favorite memory of Aunt Laurie is when I went to visit her in London. I told her I wanted to go see the Museum of Brands. Judging by her reaction, I'm pretty sure that this was probably the most boring thing anyone has ever suggested that she do. But she was so kind. She went with it. She got out her tube map. She planned the route. She packed us a lunch, a sandwich, and some snacks. And she took me over to see this tiny little museum dedicated to brands and advertising. I loved it. And I'm pretty sure when she left, she loved it too.
My favorite memory has got to be my 7th birthday when we went down to the city to see the Thanksgiving Day parade, and it poured the whole time we were there. We went back to Aunt Laurie's apartment to try to dry off. And when it had cleared up a little bit, she took me and my sister up to the roof to see a very beautiful but very cloudy and very wet view of the city skyline. She also gave me a birthday card with $7 in it, $7 for 7 years, and I thought I was rich.
You're straight. I used to love going up to Stanfordville. Not only were you the most amazing host, making a delicious Thanksgiving dinner, even making your own homemade bread, which I didn't even know was possible until we started going to your house. You also managed to let us all sleep over, and you would meet us first thing in the morning to do an annual turkey trot. Just another example of how you go above and beyond in everything is when you made the Orange Sister Hill t-shirts. As everyone has seen, I loved that t-shirt so much I wore it for, I think, 3.5 years straight. We also used to look forward to I also used to always look forward to going to Thanksgiving because we would put on those plays and you had the best house for hide and seek.
I'm sure like most, that would probably be Thanksgivings at her house growing up. They were the absolute best, but I definitely have just more than that one. I would say going to see Wicked with her when we were in high school. She took me, Jen, and Lauren. We got to take the train in and have a girls' weekend and stay with her at her apartment, and it was a really wonderful weekend and a very memorable time. And more recently, she's really good about, texting me if she reads about my company in the news, or she'll ask me questions about it. And I really enjoy getting to share that with her. So please keep them coming. I always love to talk about that.
My favorite memory with Aunt Laurie was getting to visit her in London when I was just 13. Me, my mom, and my sisters went when I think we were all ages 11 through 17, which I'm sure hosting us was no easy feat. I was so excited to get to Europe for the first time that stayed up the whole plane ride watching movies and just couldn't wait. Completely ignored all the advice of sleeping on the flight there so that you could stay up the next day. Of course, was naturally exhausted the whole next day, and I think we all fell asleep before the first dinner. But nonetheless, Aunt Laurie was always so gracious, and we had the best week ever.
My best memory with Aunt Laurie has to be when the Villani family took their trip to London and spent a week with Aunt Laurie and Uncle Gary in their flat. I have so many great memories from that week, from the football match we went to the Churchill War Rooms, and it wouldn't be a London trip with Aunt Laurie unless we were walking everywhere. I remember a lot of long walks in the cold saying, it's just a little bit further, it's just a little bit further. Needless to say, it was still a phenomenal trip. We had a great time, and we loved being there.
With Aunt Laurie, Well, I had the chance to be in London when Uncle Gary and Aunt Laurie were living there. And one memory I remember particularly well is I was staying at their place, which was a huge upgrade from the corporate housing I was given, which was such a treat. And I was leaving for Belgium to meet a friend for the weekend the next morning. And I had to leave at about 5:30 in the morning. And Aunt Laurie woke up 5 in the morning, packed me a lunch, and walked me. Of course, we walked. No cabs at 5:30 in the morning or trains, and walked me to the train station to make sure I got my train on time and got there safely.
Sincerely wishing you a very, very happy birthday, Aunt Laurie.
Love you, Aunt Laurie. You're the best. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Aunt Laurie.
Happy birthday, Aunt Laurie.
We love you so much, Aunt Laurie. Happy birthday.
Birthday, Aunt Laurie. I wish that we were able to, all be together and have birthdays like we used to and celebrate in person, but hopefully we can soon. And in the meantime, wishing you a great one. We love you and we miss you. Mwah.
Happy birthday, Aunt Laurie. We love you, and I hope to see you soon.
Happy birthday, Aunt Laurie.
Love you, Aunt Laurie. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Aunt Laurie. I love you.
I love you, Aunt Laurie. Happy birthday. Hope to see you soon.
I hope you have an amazing birthday. I wish you the best day. We all miss you, and hopefully see you soon.
Happy birthday, Aunt Laurie.